Hey friends, Pepperspray Patti here, your independent self-defense instructor looking to empower the women and teens to confidently defend themselves. And so that's kind of what we're talking about today, is reacting to a potentially dangerous situation. What all is involved in being able to defend myself? So there's three key steps in reacting to a potentially dangerous situation. And the first one is assessment. The second is determining your action. And then the third one is reacting. But before I jump into those specific steps that you're going to do when you get into a potentially dangerous situation, I want to back up because there's some very important things that have to happen to be able to do that. So if the first step is being able to assess the situation so that you can then determine what course of action is best for that situation, there's a few things that are very critical that I don't want you to miss. And this, I believe, is the key components to what makes whatever you decide is your action successful. Because you want to make sure that what you do has the best results, right? Now, disclaimer. The reality is that every single situation is completely different. And so when someone says, what do I do in this situation, XYZ? What do I do, when I'm leaving the grocery store and I've got to load the groceries in the car, and I've got the 2 kids? What we do to answer that question is create a strategy, a plan on what are some of the options that you can do. Because if I tell you do this, every single time you do it, it's not necessarily going to work out. Why? Because there's too many variables. There's too many things that I don't know. Because then I would say, okay, well, if you're attacked in the parking lot, is it someone that you know or someone you don't know? What is their intention? All of that kind of stuff. I don't know those things. And so there's no perfect answer in self-defense. So that's the disclaimer. But that kind of starts to give you a little bit of a hint on what are the more important things that you need to be able to do, or that you need to do to be able to do something in a potentially dangerous situation. I also want to say, because I'm not going to get into this too much in this video, is that I'm talking about a potentially dangerous situation. That means that I'm not out an already dangerous situation. And that means that you're at the point where you feel that your life is being threatened and you need to physically defend yourself. So if someone comes up and grabs you, that's not a potentially dangerous situation. That is a dangerous situation. Your life is in danger. There's no question. It's not potential. It's for sure. I'm not talking about those situations, because basically in a situation like that, once someone comes up and, if someone comes and grabs your throat and starts choking you or starts attacking you or grabs you, something like that, you immediately physical defense. And there's plenty of options for that. Follow my physical defense series, talking about the options of hard to soft. And that can be found on my Facebook page and in my VIP Empowering You Through Self-Defense Facebook group. What we're talking about is a potentially dangerous situation. That means you've been able to recognize that something isn't right, but you're not in that life or death moment just yet. You're at the moment before that moment. So some of the examples of this would be you're a runner or a jogger or a walker and you're trotting down the path and you see somebody and you get that feeling. All of a sudden, I don't feel safe. I don't feel comfortable. They look really, whatever the reason is that that person is giving you that feeling. First of all, understand that that is an instinct that is normal and natural and something that is extremely important for you to listen to, because our gut doesn't make that shit up. Okay? We need to be clear on that. We are not oversensitive, paranoid, whatever. Our body is telling us that something's wrong. All right, I don't want to get off topic. But anyways, let's say you see someone and you're like, okay, what do I do? Or, for example, a friend of mine and I went to Denver, Colorado for a conference. We road tripped. We got to Denver, Colorado, checked into the hotel, and then went downtown and parked to have dinner. When we got out of dinner, we were walking down the sidewalk to get back to the car. And again, the car is parked on the street, metered parking. It's downtown Denver, Colorado. It's in the evening. It's dark. We're in an unfamiliar place. We're not from there. And we're also there the night before a conference. So 2 friends, road trip, the excitement of everyone else is arriving in the morning and we're going to see everybody and the conference starts and, all this. So there's a lot of this happening, okay? I just want to set the stage for you. So anyways, as we're walking down the sidewalk, I see out of the corner of my eye, a man is walking towards us very quickly. My brain, that self-defense, survivor, fighter mindset kicks in and says, that's not normal, that's not normal, that's not normal. Which then says, okay, potentially dangerous situation, what are you going to do? I don't know. I don't know if that guy is walking towards us. I don't know, is he want to grab my purse? What? Before we get to assessment, determination, and reaction, before we get to that, let's talk about the preparations that will make assessment, determination, and reaction happen so much faster. And I kind of hinted at it. And that's that survivor fighter mindset, that self-defense mindset, that those of us that learn all the different aspects of self-defense have as a tool. This is a key tool that is used all the time prior to a dangerous situation. For example, I'm sitting in my house right now. I have determined that I am at a low level of alertness and awareness. But to be at that, I've had to do some preparation. I've had to, the front door is locked. All those safety mechanisms are in play right now. So I can have myself at a lower level. When my friend and I were in Denver, Colorado, when we were in the restaurant, again, I was at a low level of alertness, maybe a little bit higher than I am at home because I'm much more comfortable because I know my environment. So let's say we were in the restaurant, a low to medium alertness. I'm paying attention to what's happening around us. I'm noticing things and, aware of where the exits are and, who's around us, that kind of stuff. Prior to leaving the restaurant, I did make sure that I had, self-defense tools, easily accessible, and then put my, those eyes in the back of my head and all around, all my awareness, the moment we walked out of that restaurant, went up to the next level. Now I'm at a medium to a medium high. Why am I at a medium to a medium high? Because I'm in a completely unfamiliar place, in a major city, and it's dark, it's the evening, and we're walking down the street, all of those things. So before you can assess an actual situation, you need to be assessing your awareness levels. And that is something that comes with practice and with learning self-defense and all of those things. Let's say, for example, that you are in the parking lot of the grocery store. What level of alertness are you at? That's something that I would highly recommend you start practicing now, because your level of alertness in any situation is going to help you be able to assess a potentially dangerous situation quicker. What happened in Denver, Colorado, as soon as I saw that guy, first of all, my brain was able to assess that this could be a potentially dangerous situation, because it was the way he was walking towards us and very quickly, it just wasn't normal. And so you need to be able to recognize that. And so how do you teach your brain to recognize, normal situations? What comes to, sorry, I've got some frizz going on today, aggravating my face. But anyways, you have to be able to, quickly assess that situation, and it becomes easier when you're in the right level of alertness, because I was already prepared for something to happen. So the moment that something did look like it could possibly happen, I was already one step ahead. And so what I did in that moment was I was able to assess. There's no immediate threat. So it was not the kind of situation where I, jumped, stop right there, and, had my pepper spray in hand or stun gun or who knows what else kind of self-defense tools I may be using. But I didn't, get loud, start yelling. I didn't jump into the kind of reaction that would be warranted for if I didn't see the guy walking quickly until he was like right here, and he hasn't physically, grabbed me or touched me, but is like, you can tell he's coming at me and he's like right there. If that's where you catch on to the potentially dangerous situation, your assessment is going to be a little bit different. Why? Because he's right there. If he's like right there, then yes, I'm going to assess that this is more than a potentially dangerous situation, on the verge of being that dangerous situation. That assessment will change my determination of what to do and then what I do and actually doing it. So be aware of your level of alertness. You don't always have to be going like this. There are times and places when that's not necessary. But on the same token, there are a whole lot more times when that is necessary, and most people are not. The moment I go to walk out the door of my house, level of alertness goes up, more of a medium. Majority of the time that we are out and about, so you're not at home, you're not at work, you should be in about a medium level of alertness. So if you're driving in your car, your medium level of alertness. You're parked and walking into the grocery store, medium level of alertness. At the gas station, medium level of alertness. Anywhere that you are, again, that whole out and about is the perfect way to explain it. The other thing that will help you further your assessment, determination, and reaction is understanding predator mindset and red flag behaviors. Don't knock this. Don't knock this information. Every single self-defense class that I do, every presentation, everything, I talk about this. Talk about the predator mindset. It is so, so important, because this is what brings your mind to reality of what is really happening in our world and who this person is that we could potentially be facing. And again, it's important to understand that, because one of the first things that people learn when they take my class and we talk about predator mindset is the reality that most predators are someone you know. And I talk a lot about in other videos the most dangerous weapon that predators use, attackers use, violent criminals use, and that is trust. Because it is a whole lot easier. For example, the reason that complete strangers usually will attack with a knife is because they need to have something that intimidates you to listen to them. But if you know me and you trust me, I don't need that. Because you're going to listen to me because you know me and trust me. So familiarity and trust is a huge weapon that predators use. Just knowing that. And I've talked about, every day on the news, especially if you follow human trafficking organization websites, you will see every day there's, this person was arrested for, sexual assault, pornography, abductions, all this stuff. And the common denominator with the majority of those are they're the high school softball coach, they're the, principal of the local schools, the, pastor at the church. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the church or schools, whatever that, but let's think about that. If you want, I don't want to get into this too much, but I want you to fully understand this. The local softball girls high school, the local high school girls softball coach gets arrested for sexually assaulting a high school girl. Whether she's on the team or not, doesn't matter. Everybody is shocked. And you hear, not him, I would, no way, no. He's such a great guy. He's such a nice guy. I can't believe that about him. I never would have expected that. See, the thing is, we always just assume that the bad guy is going to be an obvious bad guy. Well, if you're a smart bad guy, and this is the difference between everyday criminals and predators, especially violent criminals, is I want that reputation. I want that reputation that people will be shocked that I did this. Why? Because it'll be harder for them to believe it. This is something you see a lot also, not just sexual assault, particularly of children, but also, I've even seen this in domestic violence. In my situation, I had a really hard time telling people about the abuse because I didn't think anyone would believe me. Well, why wouldn't I think anyone would believe me? Because I didn't believe it. I can't believe that this person did this to me. Not because, they did it to me, but he wasn't an angry person. He wasn't a bad person. I married I married the guy. I fell in love with him. There was so many wonderful things. He was active in our church and this and that and da-da-da. Exactly. Because see, that's a part of the whole manipulation of a predator. And if you don't understand that predator's mindset, that they will go that extra mile to create a persona so that people will question the victim then you're living in a delusional world, because that is reality. That is reality, that these predators go that far. Predators are out testing us all day, every day. Every interaction that you have with somebody, no matter how long that you've known them, there's a possibility that it could be a test of a predator. Even if you've, I tell this story a lot in my classes about the woman who had a rule that she didn't date guys that she worked with. She got a new job, and for a year, this guy kept bugging her. Please let me take you out on a date. I'm a good guy. Ask everybody. She worked with him for a year. That means in a year, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, she had interaction with this person. She was able to really get to know him. And think about that. You spend a year in the presence of somebody and getting to know them, and you see them interact with everybody. Everybody loves them. They're always they're always the person that everybody loves and everyone likes to be around with, Now that doesn't mean everybody that everybody loves is a predator. But that person spent an awful lot of time making sure that everybody thought he was a great guy. And then the moment that perfect victim, that person that he chose to fit into his scenario, comes along, she finally said yes. And they went out on the date, and the date was fabulous. He built trust with her. So much trust that at the end of the date, she invited him in. And they sat there and they had great conversation. And she kept thinking, what a fool I was to wait this long, to be so untrusting, da-da-da-da-da. She excuses herself, goes to the bathroom, and as she's at the sink washing her hands, she looks up in the mirror, and there he is, standing in the doorway. And he quickly comes up, puts his hands at her throat, and proceeds to tell her how he's going to rape her. Wait, what? This was the great guy at work that I spent a year getting to know, and he's made me laugh. He's, holy smokes. He's whatever, been nice to me, whatever he's done. That was to build trust. So that when the crime occurs, one, you'll be less likely, you'll question more whether it was a crime. And everyone else will question that too, and you'll question your mind. Is anyone even going to believe that he did this? Everyone thinks he's the most great guy and he's so wonderful. Are they good? They want to create that. That is manipulation. And that is what is happening. And so we need to know that. And I've totally gotten off on this huge tangent. But this is so important. Having that information, having that a level of awareness that fits your situation, your lifestyle, where you're at, what you're doing, what potential situations could happen. Make sure that your awareness is fitting that. And know the predator mindset, know the red flag behaviors, know the reality of what's really happening in our world. When you have those two things in play all the time, here's the thing. You're constantly catching potentially dangerous situations. I had an Instagram post that, to be honest with you, I don't even remember all that it said, but someone commented about it that, it was the post about men having awareness, not just for yourself, but for others. And I think that this shouldn't just be put on men, but I'll be honest with you, men, you're less likely to be chosen as an easy target or potential victim. And so that's why we look to you for help, because you have more potential to intimidate an attacker than I may. But as someone who has the knowledge and has the skills, it does put a certain level of responsibility on me to pay attention, not just for myself, but for others also. But anyway, so I posted about, hey men, when you're walking through the parking lot, the grocery store, or even the parking lot of Menards. I shop at Menards on a pretty weekly basis, pretty regular basis. So, pay attention to those things. Pay attention to the people around you. You see that mom, keep an eye out for her. The mom who's trying to put her groceries in the car and has got those 2 kids, and she's not able to be aware of her surroundings because she's so completely distracted. Keep an eye out for her. The elderly woman who clearly looks lost and can't remember where her car is parked. This is something I see all the time, and I will sit and I will watch until they find their car as a backup set of eyes. So anyways, I posted this on my Instagram, which does also go to Facebook, and somebody commented about that this exact situation happened. They were in the grocery store, and they put their purse. They clearly haven't taken one of my self-defense classes because they put their purse in the car and then proceeded to load the groceries, and there happened to be someone who saw them and was keeping an eye out for them because they saw someone else watching them. And afterwards they came up and told the person, hey, just want to let you know that I was watching someone who was watching you. That is someone who assessed a potentially dangerous situation and determined that their course of action was to be there, to be on guard, and be prepared versus confronting the person that they were watching, because we don't know. We again, a million different scenarios and situations, and that's what they chose to do, thankfully. And then went up and told this person that situation had happened, and it was and so she had told us about this, that this had happened. And that's awesome, and that's great. There are, of course, a lot of things that I would say, to her, to help her stay better prepared and equipped in case something, so that something like that doesn't ever happen again, because the likelihood that that guy is going to be there is not realistic, sorry. So, all right, we had to just do a little there. Okay. Come on, you're not going to sit, are you? I want something to put back here. So anyways, shucks. So anyways, I don't want to, I'm already losing my place too many times. So anyways, she shared that. Again, if your level of alertness matches your surroundings and you understand that, yes, people are in the grocery store parking lot and predators are watching and they're waiting. If you are aware of that reality, then you have a better chance of being able to assess, determine, and react quicker. And so I really wanted to, focus on those. But what do you do if you find yourself in that potentially dangerous situation? Let's take the woman that was in that grocery store parking lot, loading her groceries. Her purse was already in the car, so it wasn't, with her. And here she is loading the groceries. And let's say that she then sees that guy who was watching her. And let's say that they're already on the other side. I don't remember if she specified that the purse was in the passenger seat or where it was. I just know that she had pointed out that that she had put it in the car and then went back to the groceries. So let's say that it was on the passenger seat and in the front seat, and here she was in the back loading the groceries, and she happens to look up, and there the guy is on the other side of her car. And he's standing there looking at her, looking, into her car. That is a potentially dangerous situation. What do you do? How do you react to that? So the first thing you have to do is you have to be able to assess the situation. Again, this is why it's so important to already have a certain level of awareness, because if that was me, I would have something in my hand that I can use to defend myself, whether that is a pepper spray or a Kubotan or a striking tool of some sort. If you don't have a striking tool, you can have a pen or your key. Always have that in my hand. If not in my hand, like right there where I can, grab it. Which I do also have things in my car that are there staged. In case I don't have something in my hand at that moment, I have something right away that I can grab. Like, for example, when I'm in the driver's seat and my keys are in the ignition, my pepper spray and my Kubotan are attached to my keys. Keys are in the ignition, it's kind of hard to grab it, and if someone comes up to my window, let's say I'm at a stoplight or a stop sign, or ATM, drive-through, I don't know, something like that, there are things that are within arm's reach that I can grab and use to physically defend myself. So anyways, you're assessing that situation. What do I do? If you're already in a certain level of awareness, then your options are different. You may already have, in that kind of a situation where someone's right there, I already have the pepper spray in my hand. I already have, the Kubotan in my hand. I may assess, and again, I have to fully assess the situation, determine exactly what I would do. But one of the things that I may do in that situation is I may start yelling, "Get away from my car! Get away from me! Stay away from me!" And have be in a looking for where I'm going to go to run. Which again, if you're already in awareness mode, you already know, where am I going to go? When I park my car, let's say, for example, I go to the grocery store, there's a specific, I'm not just parking in the most convenient spot or the closest spot or, whatever, closest to this entrance, or farther back, whatever. I'm parking at what is going to be a place that is going to give me the best options in case when I come back out and I'm loading the groceries, if something happens, where's going to be the place that I can easily get to back to the store, or a place that's going to be my safe place. Again, that goes back to that level of awareness. So if let's say I'm that person, I'm at my car, that person is on the other side of my car, looking at me. They haven't said anything. They haven't actually threatened me yet. They're just standing there, looking at me, looking into my car. Now, some people at this point may say, "Can I help you?" Or whatever. That's up to you and who you are. You may say, "Get away." You may start yelling, "Get away from my car, get away from me." If you may hit the lock button on your car, if it's right there. If you have one of those locks that you can hit in the back passenger and it'll lock all the doors, or if you have a key fob in your hand, you may hit that. Here are the things that are pretty universal. One, don't ignore that person. Don't ignore that person and their presence. Immediately raise your level of alertness. Start looking for what's around you. Is there any other people around you? Are you focusing on him while someone else is coming behind you? Make sure that, but at the same time that you're quickly assessing your surroundings as a part of determining that action, don't lose sight of that person. And as long as that person is still standing right there and not moving and not causing a threat, one, that tells me that I have a little bit of a time, and either something else is, they're planning something else to happen and that's why they're just standing there, or, you know, yes, maybe they're not a threat. You know, that is a factor, the fact that they're just, you know, standing there. And so I may not jump in, but I'm not going to take my eyes off them. I'm going to look for, you know, a safe place to go. And to be honest, I don't care about the groceries, if my purse is in the car, or the car itself. If the person is looking to take those things, I just want to make sure that I'm taken out of the scenario, and I don't want to be taken with those things. So if I got that gut feeling and something is right and that person is standing there, I may jet. Just leave it as is and jet. Leave the groceries sitting there and go in a store and say, this man's making me feel uncomfortable. Can somebody escort me out? It may be just that simple that I leave, you know, I'm not saying you can close the door. You don't have to, you know, leave it open. You can choose whether you leave your cart there or you take it with you. That, you know, those kind of things, everyone is going to make the call themselves. But if I have a bad feeling about somebody, I definitely will have no problems whatsoever just leaving the cart and walking away, going into the store, finding someone and asking them to come out. Say, you know what, somebody in the parking lot was staring at me, making me feel very uncomfortable and safe. Can someone please come out with me so I can finish loading the groceries in my car and leave? That's an option. And so, but remember that when you're walking away from your vehicle, that you are still watching where that person is. Are they following you? Did they get in their car and did they leave? You know, look at all those things. So regardless of what you do, assess and decide to react with, remember to increase your awareness of your surroundings, and it's always about getting away safely. Use the tools, prevent yourself from getting into that dangerous situation and being able to lessen potentially dangerous situation. So take a self-defense class. I'm available for group workshops and private lessons. You guys have a wonderful day. Stay safe.